Okay, hi there. My name's Carolyn Doughty, and today we're going to be having a little bit of fun. What we're going to be doing is, now when people clean their baby when it comes out of a mould, everyone does their own thing. You know, there's no right and wrong way of doing it. If it works, it works. When it comes out of the mould, basically it picks up in the mould the wax release. When you put something in the pour, you spray inside the mould with, presumably, if you do it the same way as me, with a spray, waxy spray release. Oops, should have got this out before I started. I use this one. That one's a really good one for using with silicone because it's specifically made for silicone. However, when your baby comes out the mould, it often does have, it will pick up some of the release agent from the mould. So I poured 4 little limbs basically. I'm going to pull them out of the mould, and I'm not going to clean them off at all. Now when I pull my baby from the mould, I soak my baby in acetone. It's something I was taught to do when I went to my mould making class. I did a course. It's something that I was taught to do, and at the time when I first started, that's what an awful lot of people did do. I was taught by quite a lot of the silicone artists when I first started pouring. A lot of it I did by trial and error, and as I say, going on this course. But anyway, basically nearly everybody did this in those days. Nowadays not so much, but I still do. I still think it's the best thing to get mould, really, you know, the mould, the spray off the piece of silicone when you take it out the mould, off the baby. Now I'm going to do an experiment today. So I've got some glass jars. I'm going to do 4. So these babies have come out of the mould. These are basically poured in standard Ecoflex 20. They're just little hands and feet. They're my own sculpts. I may have to cut them down a little bit to get them into these jars. I'm not too sure. So I've got some jars, and I've got some different things for soaking them in. So I've got some ordinary solvent, Bob Ross thinner, that quite a lot of us use for mixing silicones in, for diluting the silicone. I've got some acetone, I've got some water, and I've got some naphtha. Now in the UK you can't buy naphtha as naphtha, it's basically lighter fluid, so I got some lighter fluid to do this experiment. Because sometimes some people use naphtha for diluting the silicone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label up these jars. So I'm going to put acetone, naphtha, water, and Bob Ross. Obviously that's the same would happen with Novox. I just don't have any Novox. Right, I'm going to put these labels on these. No, they're not going to stick, are they? Doesn't help that I've got, there we are, water. I've got my gloves on, so I think maybe that's Bob Ross, sorry. So basically, I've done it for years. As most of you know, I do lots and lots of tuition videos, and recently I've been doing some videos on how to make the silicone baby from start to finish. And 1 or 2 of the students on my course, not all of them, only a couple, decided that they wanted to prove me wrong. So they went out of their way to put things on social media to try and sort of basically rubbish me, or at least my techniques. So,
I'm sorry.
Ooh, that was my Apple Watch. So, just because it doesn't really matter what people say, but they've now gone around telling other people, and they've had Smooth on writing letters to say, no, you don't, if you soak a piece in acetone it'll disintegrate and things like that, which is just sort of nonsense. Why they would want to try and disprove something that I've done for years and other people have done for years, I don't know. So anyway, it's just a little thing I'm going to do. So basically, I think I'm going to have to cut these down. So I'll just get some scissors. There we are. So I'll just do like half a piece, half a foot, and half a hand. Nowhere else would you be able to, would you see a video of cutting a baby's hand in half and foot. Right, so I just need pieces of silicone. So this is going to go in there. Acetone. Naphtha. And water. I hope nobody, if ever anyone came and if ever I got a break-in into my house, honestly, I would get arrested. Can you imagine breaking in and finding little jars full of half limbs? Right, so we'll do the water first. Where's the water? So this is water. So I've got just an ordinary bottle of water, basically because I found it in the cupboard. I was just going to get some tap water, but you know what people are like, saying, oh, it wasn't real water. So I'm going to pour that in there, up to the top. And put the lid on it. So that's the water one done. You can see. Oop. That's my water one. My Bob Ross one. This is my Bob Ross thinner. I can open the blooming thing. There we are. Again, fill it to the top. I should be able to reuse this stuff afterwards. Bob Ross. There we are. Oops, not very leak proof, but never mind. What should we do next? Acetone. Whoops, now this is 100% pure acetone. Now, one or two of you may know, if you use acetone, it actually eats through vinyl gloves. This is why people have this idea that acetone is will eat through a silicone, but it doesn't. Right. There we are. That's the acetone. And finally the naphtha, which is a lighter fluid. I'm hoping I can take the top off without having to spray it through that. Don't think I'm going to be able to. It's a long job. Sorry it's taking so long, it's just don't try this at home because this naphtha is really quite flammable, so you don't want to be leaving it around in jars. Right, I think that's going to be enough. We'll stop that and we'll put the lid on. Right, so what we have is the sample in naphtha, the sample in acetone, the sample in Bob Ross thinner, the odourless thinner, and the sample in water. So what I'm going to do is put these to one side safely somewhere and forget about them for a little bit. So I'll put them in this box with the empty jars came in. So I'm going to put them in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put the 2 empty ones back in to keep it okay. Right, I'm going to put these just somewhere in my studio, and it is now Wednesday the 17th of August at 1:47. Okay, so we'll come back in an hour or two and see what effect it's had on them, and then we're going to leave it for much longer as well. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Right, okay, here we are back again. It is now, I actually can't remember, it was yesterday sometime, I can't remember the time. It's now Thursday the 18th, which is, I'm pretty sure it was yesterday we did it at 18:58, so I think it's at least 24 hours anyway since we last did it. So these people who say don't put silicone and acetone because it will disintegrate will definitely be sitting there waiting for me to be proved wrong and them to be proved right. Right, okay, so that's an empty bottle and that's an empty bottle. Right, so these are the 4 bottles that we used yesterday to put with their little bits of silicone in. So first of all I'm going to pick up the water. Now clearly nothing was going to happen to the hand or foot that was in water. We'll open it. I think probably everybody knows that silicone is not absorbed by water at all. Here it is exactly as it was when it went in. So that's the right foot is water. Okay, I'll get rid of that after. The second one I'm going to take out is going to be the acetone. Alright, acetone. So this is the acetone one. You'll saw me put that in. So this was the one of the hands, I think. I'm not going to, well, if I put this in, the glove will disintegrate because it doesn't like acetone at all. So it has no effect on silicone, but it does have an effect on the vinyl. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you that this is why people seem to think that acetone has an effect on everything. It does not. So I'm going to pop my finger in and pull it out. So that, as you can see, after a day and a half, it's disintegrated my glove, but it's done absolutely nothing to the hand. Absolutely perfect, and it's actually squeaky clean. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it is squeaky clean. To my mind, all the mould releases off it. I will actually normally give it a good wash afterwards, but if you look at it compared to the water one, I don't know if you can tell, that's got a shine on it, and this is just squeaky clean. So it does, to my mind, it does have a really good effect on it. Right, I'm going to put another glove on. I don't really want disintegrated gloves. I'm going to set that on one side. I can reuse the acetone. Right. Right, the other one was the naphtha and the Bob Ross. So I'll use Bob Ross first. That's the odourless solvent that people use, very similar to the Novox that people use in Smooth-On. The same. You'll get the same results with Novox as you do with the naphtha and the Bob Ross. And when I've got my other glove on, we will have a look at that. So we'll look at the Bob Ross next. Now this is the Bob Ross thinner, and this is what it looks like. It has absorbed the solvent to the point where it's just blown up completely. It's gone to about 4 times its size. Now there's a lesson to be learnt from this. Not only that, you know, acetone is harmless to silicone and all it does is clean it, but that solvents are absorbed by silicone. So this must be bared in mind when you are using solvents with them. Obviously we mix paints, silicone paints with solvent. This is the naphtha, the lighter fluid. And in a very similar way to the Bob Ross, it has absorbed, oh blimey, I can't even get it out. And in fact it's slightly disintegrated. Yeah, we've lost a couple of toes actually. It's broken down the silicone a little bit as well. So it's broken the toes off, it's broken down the silicone, as has this. It's broken it down, it's blown it up, broken it down. There we are. And the other toes on the floor here somewhere. Oh, here we are. The other toes. Yeah. So basically it's not a good idea to soak your silicone pieces in solvent, in a thin, like white spirits, naphtha, Bob Ross. Have I said that already? It's basically use solvent with a great deal of respect. You mix your paints in it and you paint it onto the silicone, but bear in mind that the surface of the silicone is going to react to it over sort of minutes, maybe half an hour, and it might and it will absorb it, and then hopefully it'll go back. So basically, I'm not saying don't use solvents. I'm saying that is what happens when you leave a piece of silicone in solvent for a day. That is what happens when you leave it in acetone for a day. I think I've made my point. So the person who tried to rubbish my courses and attempted to do me quite a bit of damage, if you see her on a group saying Carolyn Doughty in her classes, she teaches you to put it in solvent, in acetone, and acetone damages the solvent, and it'll damage, sorry, the acetone will damage the silicone. It does not. Acetone does nothing to damage the silicone. It's been in silicone for a day and a half. It has done nothing to it except clean it. In water, it's done nothing to it except just sit there. It's still got the waxy surface on it. In solvent, it's completely ruined it. And in the other solvent, again, completely ruined it to the point where the silicone's actually broken down and fallen apart. So if you see anything from Smooth-On, I don't believe the letter is legitimate, to be honest, saying that you must not put silicone in acetone, it will break it down. So either it's a fake letter or the person who's writing it does not actually know what he's talking about, and I say that with a great deal of experience. I don't often get cross. I'm very laid back, but I do not like it when somebody, a beginner, starts trying to rubbish me and trying to prove me wrong. So I think this proved my point. So I would like to see anybody proving otherwise. Any of my students who have put their pieces in acetone, if you've had any problems, it is not because of the acetone. There is nothing wrong with it. It was an industry standard originally. I did my mould making course about 10, 11 years ago, and I was told to use acetone. I was told to use always use gloves, obviously not vinyl gloves. Always use gloves, because apparently it can, well, this gentleman, the man who taught me, said it can be actually absorbed through the skin, and it's not good for you. So do wear gloves. Don't wear nylon gloves. Obviously, it's the only occasion when I wear rubber gloves is when I'm handling something with silicone, with acetone. I do sometimes put rubber gloves on. I'll pick the item out of the acetone, put it in water, and then I get rid of the rubber gloves and I scrub it with soap and water then. So I hope this has been useful. I hope this will show you that acetone does not eat into silicone, and I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed doing it. And as I say, I hope if you do see anything written on that on Facebook or on anything, you will bear in mind that the person who's talking about it not only is a beginner, but she hasn't actually used any silicone in moulds yet. Anyway, she's a very strange person. And that's all I'm going to say about it, and let's move on. Okay, this was fun. So in time this will probably go back down again. It'll take a few weeks, but if I was to leave this out now, it will gradually go back to that, but it will take a few weeks, and I really wouldn't want to use it once it's gone back, because obviously, you know, it's not good. This, imagine if this happened to your whole baby. Having said that, acetone I would not leave in for 2 days deliberately. I usually leave it in for about an hour, 20 minutes to. I was told when I first started by another silicone artist, the professional silicone artists, leave it in for at least 20 minutes. So I used to do that, but just occasionally I forget to take it out, and I've left it in the bucket for literally for a few weeks, and it's never come to any harm. It's never absorbed. It's never breaks down. And so yeah, use whatever you do, it however you want, but don't listen to silly people who say silly things. Test it out for yourself. Okay, this was fun. See you soon.